WJZ TV, Baltimore.
WJZ TV, Baltimore. This is Eyewitness News with Al Sanders, Denise Koch, Weather with Bob Turk, Sports with John Buren.
New voices rise in support of legalized drugs. Good evening, I'm Al Sanders. Denise Koch has the night off. 2 years ago, Mayor Schmoke took a lonely position on decriminalization as an option for saving the nation from drugs. Tonight, other prominent figures are joining the mayor for what could become a national dialogue on the issue. The night team's Paula Tutman has an update.
This is Tom Bradley's corner. He grew up in this neighborhood and now runs a small open-air market here. A lot of money changes hands on the corner of Cold Spring and Reisterstown Road, but it's from selling produce and Christmas trees, not narcotics.
I ran this neighborhood all my life, just about. I know everybody they grew up in this neighborhood.
What kind of drugs are here?
What kind? What kind is not here? That's what I like. Everything is around here. I watch guys I went to school with. Everybody wants to sit around and do drugs all day long.
Bradley's leaning toward supporting the decriminalization of drugs. He wonders if by taking the big money out of the peddling, we'll lose a few junkies, save a lot of children, and cut crime. Now, Bradley's not saying he's necessarily in favor of the decriminalization of drugs, but he is in favor of doing something. And he says what we're doing right now is just not working. As a matter of fact, he's joining a growing number of people on the streets and in the know who say we are losing the war against drugs. The most recent to join the bandwagon, a New York federal judge with 11 years on the bench, Robert Sweets, who out and out says the time has come to end the prohibition, lending even more support to embattled Baltimore Mayor Kurt Schmoke.
I envision a society that would have less drug abuse, less crime associated with the distribution of drugs, less AIDS, fewer babies born addicted, which we have now.
Schmoke says the time has come to turn substance abuse over to public health officials, not to the criminal justice system. For the night team, Paula Tutman, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
Former Secretary of State George Schulte is one of the other notables calling for a decriminalization of drugs. The streets of Boston are buzzing tonight over a $5,000 reward being offered to anyone who kills the founder of a drug hotline for turning in pushers. Apparently, street gangs are also willing to pay $1,000 if Georgette Watson is merely wounded. The mother of three has turned down police protection in the past, but not this time. She's now guarded 24 hours a day. The White House says President Bush intends to go to a drug summit next year in Colombia, despite the devastating bombings by drug lords there. Bush will meet with the presidents of Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia next February in the walled city of Cartagena. Some in Congress have urged the president not to make the trip. Tonight, a South Carolina pillow factory is facing a record fine of $580,000. Its owners accused of hiring more than 100 illegal aliens, including a 12-year-old boy. Working conditions are said to have bordered on bondage.
Here's one inside the box. Surprise, surprise.
The owners of the factory are also facing criminal indictments based on evidence the company hired illegal aliens, in addition to those found during this raid in July. An American woman accused of storing weapons for rebels in El Salvador is about to be freed from a Salvadoran prison. Jennifer Casolo of Connecticut was arrested last month and accused of using her home in San Salvador to help leftist forces store weapons. Today, the president of El Salvador said there wasn't enough evidence to keep Casolo in prison. She'll be deported and could be back home by the end of the week. Gunner's mate Kendall Truitt continues to stand up for the crewmate accused of causing the explosion that killed 47 sailors on the USS Iowa. Truitt told a congressional panel today that Clayton Hartwig was no suicidal freak and that he does not believe Hartwig caused the explosion.
It is my opinion that Clayton Michael Hartwig did not cause the explosion. I do not think he committed suicide. Firstly, Hartwig didn't know that he was supposed to be in the gunroom the day of the explosion. He wasn't told until that morning. And it's just, this whole thing is ridiculous. It's a big cover-up, in my opinion.
The chairman of the House Armed Services Subcommittee has also been critical of the Navy's report on the explosion. The Moscow Circus opened tonight at the arena. Good news for children of all ages, but not everyone was happy to see the Soviets come to town. The night team's Andrea Koppel has more.
The Moscow Circus is meant to be entertaining. It's all about bringing you to the edge of your seat. And because it's live entertainment, anything can happen, both to the performers or the animals. Tonight, it's the well-being of the animals that's brought demonstrators to the arena.
Would you like to learn what goes on behind the scenes of the circus?
Thank you. Most people on their way in tonight didn't seem interested.
I mean, I'm kind of animals. I love dogs, cats, and I love bears.
Is this going to stop you from seeing the circus?
No, not really. We're trying to teach people that this kind of cruelty to animals is not entertainment. And we're not opposed to circuses. If they want to have a circus with jugglers and clowns, high wire acts, I mean, that's acceptable. We wouldn't even be here.
Instead, the Moscow Circus features trained bears that are kept tightly muzzled. And demonstrators believe these bears are forced to perform unnatural acts. And members of PETA say not only is it unnatural for bears to perform in circuses, but it's also unnatural for them to be wearing tutus and top hats. These activists say the Moscow bears should be in hibernation at this time of year. The circus stage manager disagrees.
They sleep because it puts their metabolism down so that they don't need the food. But in a situation where there's food available, they don't have that need to hibernate.
We don't domesticate animals in a few short years. And bringing bears in out of the wild doesn't mean that their natural instincts don't take over.
For the time being, it appears that whether it's natural or not, the show and the bears will go on. For the night team, Andrea Koppel, Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
The Moscow Circus runs through Sunday night at the arena. Scientists have determined the beluga whale that died this summer at Baltimore's National Aquarium had an infection common to captive whales. But no one can pinpoint the source of the bacteria or figure out why the beluga's immune system couldn't handle it. Until the mystery is solved, nothing can be done to prevent such deaths in the future. 2 days are all that stand between a former Anne Arundel County realtor and freedom from a South Carolina prison. Parole was granted to Kay Smith today in South Carolina, and that will enable her to rejoin her family in Maryland for the holidays. Convicted of armed robbery in South Carolina, Smith escaped from prison, spent 10 years on the run, most of it in Maryland, where she started a new life. Now, after serving an additional 18 months in prison, it's finally over.
I will say the record does speak well for you, and I appreciate what you have done to help yourself since you have been incarcerated.
I'm relieved that it's all over with, and I wish that I had went back years ago and taken care of it. And it's kind of hard to believe that it's here.
Kay Smith will be closely monitored by Maryland authorities until 1996. Still to come on Eyewitness News, South Africa's most famous prisoner has a face-to-face meeting with his president. And the belle of Baltimore's block gets a second shot at stardom.
A man in public office, he's got to be discreet in his indiscretion.
Well, I am not an indiscretion.
Toyota Tercel delivers value today and tomorrow. Here's proof. This is a 1986 Ford Escort, and this an 86 Toyota Tercel. New, the Tercel sold for over $700 less than the Escort. Yet today, the Tercel is worth more. Now here are the 1990 Tercels, more affordable to own and still cost less. That's Tercel. Cost less today, worth more tomorrow. See your Toyota dealer. We deliver value.
TJ Maxx. Over 10,000 new Christmas gift ideas arrive at TJ Maxx every week, so it's never the same place twice.
No, it's never, ever the same place twice. Yesterday, this week, this Christmas Eve night, get the Max for the minimum price, and it's never, ever the same place twice. TJ Maxx.
What was once only in Russia is now in America. The Moscow Circus. Brought to you by American Express. Bringing you the world like you never imagined. Now at the Arena, performing December 13th through December 17th. Every year, 100 million men, women, and children on 5 continents step into a world of laughter, of excitement, of sheer joy. The Moscow Circus. Now this amazing world is coming to America. Join in the magic of the Moscow Circus, brought to you by American Express.
Icy roads contributed to a fatal accident on West Patapsco Avenue tonight. Around 8 o'clock, 23-year-old John Stevens was changing a flat tire when a tow truck stopped to help. Another driver slammed into the tow truck, trapping and killing Stevens. 2 others were taken to area hospitals, their conditions unknown at this hour. Today in South Africa, an improbable and historic meeting between 2 very different leaders. African National Congress head Nelson Mandela has been jailed for more than 26 years. Today, Mandela left prison for a meeting with South African President W.J. De Klerk. Mandela requested the meeting in which the 2 leaders talked about future negotiations between the government and anti-apartheid activists. Tonight, a hopeful sign out of China, the communist government giving the okay to Voice of America radio to start transmitting once again. VOA was closed down and its correspondent was expelled during the government's crackdown at Tiananmen Square in June. Tonight, Chinese officials say they'll welcome an application from a new correspondent. Well, if you say Blaze Star in Baltimore, you think of the Block, that boulevard of broken dreams, and the 2 o'clock club. But say it in Louisiana and people will tell you she was the woman who almost toppled a political empire. The movie Blaze opened in Baltimore today, and entertainment reporter Kelly Saunders has a review.
That was so nice. I can't top this act.
It's a tough act to follow.
That political empire belonged to Earl K. Long, who was the governor of Louisiana in the 50s. And yes, old Blaze made her mark on that. Blaze is a 2-hour look at the relationship between striptease artist Blaze Starr and Earl Long and the uproar caused by their affair.
Yeah, good night for prowling around, ain't it?
Fine night for prowling, sir.
Apparently, the New Orleans red light district was familiar stomping grounds for Long. And when he saw Blaze, it was lust at first sight.
My God, them's a big pair of rascals you got.
Are you talking about my eyes, Governor?
She's invited to join Long on a day trip, stumping through the parishes of Louisiana.
Now, I do not like to be left in the car like sort of merchandise. And I don't think a proper introduction is asking too much.
A man in public office, he's got to be discreet in his indiscretion.
Well, I am not an indiscretion.
Yes, she was. Long was a married man. His affair with Blaze and his eccentric behavior was very much in the public eye.
National politics, huh?
You, wouldn't be thinking about Uncle Earl, would you?
And what if I was?
Well, no disrespect intended, ma'am, but he's not exactly dealing off the top of the deck anymore, is he?
Earl K. Long is the sanest man I've ever known.
Blaze has a cameo appearance. Paul Newman kisses her on the shoulder as he enters the dancer's dressing room. Blah, so look for that. Newman does a whale of a job portraying the erratic, off-center Governor Long, and Miss Davidovich handles her role nicely. But there's just something a little flat about the film. Perhaps if it had been made 10 years ago, it might have been more compelling. But political scandal is old news today. With my apologies, Miss Starr, I was hoping for a Blaze, but I only got a spark. Blaze gets a 5.
Oh, my, just a 5. How, on the other hand, a 5 is good on some nights, you know.
That's right.
Yes.
It's 5 out of 5.
That's right. This isn't, unfortunately. Well, speaking of 5s and 10s and good weather forecasts and all that.
Cold weather.
Cold.
5 may be the low temperature Saturday night.
You're not going to even get a 5 then.
Now, let's move right along. First, take a look at these current temperatures right now under clear skies currently. It's cold, 21, humidity 92%. Winds out of the west at 7, the barometer 30.05 and rising. It's high at sunrise 7:18, sets at 4:44.
Tropicana Pure Premium Orange Juice has only one ingredient, so no other major brand comes closer to this than this. Now, what are you waiting for? Try it. It's really very simple. Tropicana Pure Premium. You just can't pick a better juice.
Today, Lancôme Paris enters the era of chronocosmetology with Noctazome Renewal Night Treatment. With its unique time-release Neosome system technology, Noctazome supplies vital ingredients all through the night, a definite beauty action, so every complexion can wake up to fresh, clear, smooth, beautiful-looking skin.
Like Noctazome help you put your best face forward each morning.
Noctazome Renewal Night Treatment, Lancôme Paris, especially for you at Hecht's.
I put off telling him as long as I could.
We had just gotten married.
That I'd lost my wedding band.
We looked everywhere.
It was gone. I'd never felt so terrible in my life.
But since I bought it with my Citibank Visa, I got it replaced. Free.
At Citibank, almost everything you buy with our card is insured at no extra cost.
I was so
relieved. I
relieved.
never thought the credit card you used could be that important.
Not just Visa, Citibank Visa.
Gourmet, the best, just got better. In the festival at Woodholm, Reisterstown Road, Pikesville exit 20, 484-9393.
Well, it was a very special, gratifying night at the Governor's Club tonight. Everybody's favorite Bob was guest auctioneer at the annual Santa Claus Anonymous Auction, sponsored each year by the Printing Industries of Maryland. Nearly $30,000 raised tonight to help the needy. That's needy children, and that's great.
Not only that, Al.
Yeah.
This little Christmas hat, this little Santa Claus hat.
Right.
The Printing Industries of Maryland are an incredibly generous group. This hat I sold tonight to Mark Krieger from the John D. Lucas Printing Company for $1,989.
My, can I just touch the hat?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
not me.
Very nice.
It's just
has Santa written
it's
there.
a very nice little Santa
gold
Christmas hat. That's
glitter.
the Christmas spirit. So some nice kids in the city, some needy kids, some 50,000 needy kids. Hopefully we'll get a nice Christmas present this year. Let's take a look at our forecast, which is certainly Christmassy as of late, and cold too. And it's going to remain cold. In fact, some of the coldest weather of the year, not even winter yet, it's late fall, will be moving in our direction. Temperatures already in the teens in the northern and western suburbs, could get down to about 10 degrees in places like Westminster, Hereford, Carroll County, Howard County, Harford County, all those areas. Even interior sections of the eastern shore could see temperatures in the low teens, mid-teens tonight. Winds tomorrow variable 6 to 12 on the bay, 18 degrees right now up in Johnstown, PA, and also at Dulles Airport. 30 degrees, the last report at Martin Airport, but they didn't report last hour. 21 in Salisbury. Lots of snow everywhere, except where you think they'd have a lot of snow. Western Maryland, not reporting too much snow on the ground, an inch or two. That's about it. We've got as much as a foot or more, however, in St. Mary's and Calvert County, and almost a foot in many sections of the eastern shore. Let's take a look at our national radar. A new system moving in our direction. Some light snow already breaking out in Ohio right now, Indiana, Michigan. Very cold weather moving into this region. That will be pushing in our direction. Looking at snow also in the eastern Rockies. This is going to develop into something that could give us some snow on Friday. This system is going to zip through our region tomorrow. We could see some flurries, sort of like we saw today, but maybe a little bit more, and maybe just a coating in some areas, especially across northern regions. Here's that next system. Gets cold behind it, and then a storm we expect to develop in the Rockies. Heads down on the Gulf Coast. A new computer just came out. One computer says it moves toward Virginia Capes. Another says it moves up the East Coast and forms a major nor'easter for Friday. We could see a major snow, perhaps, by late midday on Friday. We'll watch it tomorrow and see what happens. But all the ingredients are there. We have Arctic air heading down the Gulf Coast, hits that warm tropical air, and a storm develops and follows the jet stream right up along the East Coast. that is what we expect to happen at this point. Well, there's that storm tomorrow already in Oklahoma. The first one zips by to our north and just allows this bitterly cold air to move in. 20 below zero temperatures, very common in northern Minnesota and the Dakotas. Wind chills 40, 50 below zero in some spots. Also northern Maine, wind chills of that ilk. Terrible. Speaking of ilks, tonight's lows, 20 below, 30s and 40s in Florida, 30s and 40s in Texas, a few 50s down in Brownsville. We'll be in the teens across our region. Tomorrow's highs, below zero up there. We'll be in the upper 20s and low 30s here. 70s recovering in South Florida. Take a look at the forecast the next 5 days. Flurries pretty likely tomorrow, 31-17. PM and nighttime and Saturday morning snow could be a big one, maybe. 27-18, 22-9 Saturday night, 28-16, 33-18. Partly sunny skies for Sunday and Monday. Just going to be cold the next 5 days and perhaps even the next 10. We might have a white Christmas this year. Last time we had snow on the ground for Christmas was back in 1985, according to the records at BWI. Al and Chris.
All right, Bob and Bob. Chris will be too cold to realize it's a white Christmas. Frozen in our tracks.
I don't care for those kind of things. My daughters really want one.
Oh, they do.
We'll talk about Georgetown when we come back. They rolled down at the Cap Center tonight. Here are all your scores. We'll be back with Georgetown and a little bit from Bo Schembechler. Stick with us.